Here we are again for our weekly Zoom meeting of the Healing Cooperative, and I'm very excited to have Serena Paganini as our speaker of the week. And Serena is going to be presenting Cranio-Sacral therapy, and her business is Highest Serenity. Thank you, Serena. You have the floor.
Well, thank you so much for inviting me back, Susan. I consider it a high honor that I can keep you all entertained and add some educational value to it as well. So my business of Highest Serenity Bodywork kind of implies my healing journey started with massage therapy school when I was 18 years old, almost 18 years ago. And that was my first introduction into the many different ways that the body is maintaining our homeostasis at any given moment. So my love of the nervous system probably took a while to grow on me, but it started with doing therapeutic massage and interacting with that peripheral nervous system and seeing the relief that clients could get. However, what I found was that clients still had to return on a very regular basis and were really becoming a little bit dependent on their time with me, that I could ease the tension, increase the blood flow, and connect them to what their body was experiencing. But if I needed a vacation, or if we were suddenly shut down and I could not get my hands on you, there was too much reliance in that model on what I was doing. So my own nervous system is highly sensitive. That is why I can feel so many things through my hands, and learned along the path that what I was feeling in my body was also simply just really aligning with that client, and at times taking on too many of their physical symptoms. So I continued my education into energy work, including Reiki mastery, polarity therapy, and biodynamic, Cranio-Sacral. And that is where I really fell in love recently, is the Cranio-Sacral world. I went to the Body Worlds exhibit in Houston and stared for probably 45 minutes at the big, beautiful brain and all of the cranial and spinal nerves so beautifully laid out. There's something that resonates with my soul at being able to see it and feel it in my body at the same moment. So along the path, I became a massage therapy instructor as well, and started teaching anatomy, because I will science geek out on you about how beautiful your body is and how well it can work. So what I'd like to do with you guys today is guide you through kind of a reminder of some of those nervous system structures. And it really is the thing that links together all of the different modalities and approaches that I have incorporated into my business and into what I offer for my clients. So I'm going to try and get fancy and do a share screen thing. I did a test run before we started, so I think I can do this. Fantastic. See? Smooth and easy. So for those of you that are in the psychotherapy world and the healing modalities, a lot of these terms you may have heard before, but before we head into a meditation where I'll be guiding you to it, I'd like to show you some of these images and some of this structure and function of how your body is maintaining and restoring your balance every day. So a few terms to kind of remember and bring to your mind: the organization of your nervous system. We have the central nervous system, that is that big, beautiful brain, and the spinal cord and the spinal nerves. So this is considered your integrative and control center. And then you have your peripheral nervous system, that is the cranial and spinal nerves as they exit the spinal column. And it's really the bridge and the connection between the brain and the body. So these systems have both motor and sensory nerves. So your body is always feeling and responding at the same time. And it is so simultaneous and working in parallel with each other at how fast you might feel that hot pan and pull your hand away. These are feeling almost automatic responses to us. So within that peripheral nervous system, you have your somatic, that's your voluntary control that communicates with your skeletal muscles. And then the one we're going to spend a little more time on is this autonomic nervous system. So this is considered your involuntary, your visceral nervous system. This is how your brain is communicating with your cardiac muscle, your viscera, and your glands. And particularly, we are keying in on the sympathetic and the parasympathetic responses. So the sympathetic branch is your fight or flight, is what you've probably heard it as in the past. It is going to raise your blood pressure, increase your heart rate, quicken your breath quite a bit, digestion slows. It is ideal for survival. All right, so this is not the enemy. This is something we have to work with. It is there to protect us. And its opposite side is the parasympathetic nervous system. So this is where your heart rate slows down, your blood flow is directed towards your digestion, and it really restores balance to the sympathetic. So if you look at this photo, you'll notice those parasympathetic nerves are all arising out of the cranial nerves and the sacral nerves, nerve roots. So this is known as the Cranio-Sacral division of the nervous system. So when I am offering cranial-sacral sessions, I'm holding a space of stillness and quiet that allows us to activate this parasympathetic system, particularly in the times we are in with so much fear and threat and danger around us. We are living in a chronic sympathetic state. And so many of the healing offerings that this cooperative talks about are how do we slow down that autonomic response and convince the body that it is safe, that it is okay to keep calm and maintain the homeostasis. And so many of the major metabolic challenges that are happening in the body are linked to the chronic overstimulation of the sympathetic state. So the original concepts of this seesaw balance that your body is always maintaining for you seems almost broken right now, that the sympathetic is overactivated. But what has really come to light in the cranial-sacral world, as well as some of the psychotherapy world, is more of a polyvagal approach, suggesting that there's a little more than just the seesaw happening here. So has anyone, just raise hands for me, has anyone heard of the polyvagal theory? Is this something you're familiar with? I thought Susan probably had heard of this. It is fascinating how important it is to create these safe spaces, both through thought and conversation with clients. But there's also a lot of physical manipulation that we can do to help balance the vagus nerve. So this is the beautiful wandering vagus nerve that innervates most of our major organs and is monitoring how safe we are in any given moment. So it's polyvagal theory because there are 3 different branches of this vagus nerve. There's the dorsal, the ventral, and then the sympathetic chain. So the sympathetic chain is going to be your fight or flight response and is going to get you very activated. The dorsal vagal response actually leads you all the way to a freeze response, where your body is simply shutting down. And that's a conversation through this pandemic time that a lot of us who are very sensitive have been simply exhausted and almost unable to engage. And that's because it has completely overridden the ventral vagus nerve. So the ventral vagus nerve is our social emotional connection. And a lot of the safety cues come from our faces, our smiles, our expressions is one of the things that can really trigger that safety response from the from the ventral vagus nerve. So a lot of this work, if you're interested in learning more, came from Stephen Porges. First came across my path from Dr. Michael Shea, teaching biodynamic craniosacral work and a multivagal safety system that he's working with and promoting. But this is kind of how those three different branches are interacting. And again, your body wants to maintain homeostasis. So this is kind of a scale that your body is moving up and down at each given moment. As someone walks in the room, you're going to have a little bit of a fight or flight response because it is something new coming into your environment. And if they smile at you, you're going to come down into that social engagement and you're going to be open and present with that person. If they come at you aggressively and are unpleasant with you, then you will continue that upward slide into fight or flight to find a way to manage that situation. So these are physiological effects. And one of the things I find so fascinating about cranial-sacral, because it came from doctors of cranial osteopathy, so osteopathic physicians were the first people creating these cranial-sacral techniques and developing this work. We're very grounded in the science and the physiology of what is happening, but the marriage with biodynamic cranial-sacral still honors the more mystical process of a treatment where we really are understanding how the body's responding, but allowing the primary respiration to come in and meet that client exactly where they are. No matter where you are on the scale, there are resources available to help you come back to that social engagement. And that primary respiration feeling and that calm, centered stillness that shows up in a cranial session is giving your nervous system an opportunity to reboot wherever you are in this polyvagal balancing act that all of our bodies are doing for us. So what I'd like to do is share with you guys a few ways that we can engage the vagus nerve, because I get a little heady as I'm talking about the nerves and I can see all the insides of the body and all of that. We have to ground it down into actionable steps of if we notice our body's going into freeze mode and we're not able to access our prefrontal cortex and our thinking brains, how can we come back into the moment and create that safety for ourselves? So the first one, because the vagus nerve innervates the diaphragm, is to take a nice deep breath. As much as we might not want to be told to calm down, breathe is the best thing you can say to someone who is having anxiety symptoms or are uncomfortable. Because when you are engaging that diaphragm, you are activating and touching the vagus nerve and helping create that sense of safety with it. Now, cranial-sacral treatments are key if you have any experience of anxiety, depression, imbalance with your nervous system. They are able to utilize manual techniques, very light. Cranial-sacral is a hands-on, but only like a dime's worth of pressure. So we're not digging to a nerve, we're letting that nerve come to us. And we're utilizing the intention and our energy field in order to interact with that cranial-sacral system. So it is key that we learn to move. So a lot of the yoga postures, and I am not a yoga teacher yet, it's on my continuing education wish list, but there are yoga postures and specific breathing that are all engaging the vagus nerve. And this ancient wisdom has been around for so long. They didn't have to dissect a body and identify how a vagus nerve is working to figure out that if you do some innervation poses, if you get your head below the rest of your body, that you will have a sense of calm come over you. And then my favorite is dancing. When you are really in the moment and just letting go, you're usually singing as well. So that vagus nerve innervates the back of the throat. So whether it is primal screaming in the car because your kids have, pushed you too far for the day, or the more pleasant, blasting out your favorite song, anything we're doing to really clear that throat and engage that throat is activating your vagus nerve, your ventral vagus nerve, and bringing you into that balanced state. So even things like drinking cold water or facial stimulation, whether that's receiving a facial or massage work, or even just integrating it as an intention into your day, whatever skincare routine, washing of your face, moisturizing you're doing, this is a parasympathetic organ right here. So touch your face more often. I know COVID and things, clean your hands first, don't touch a door and then touch your face. But one of the things that really stood out to me as everyone amped up as a collective to the level of fear that we were in 2020 was that we were also told not to touch our face. So I hand out hand sanitizer to my children and myself, and I am the one in the car. I don't have a mask on. I am touching my face. All right. So consider working that into your day, whether it is in the morning or in the evening. How are you intentionally showing love to your face? And I really did notice one of the steps on my path, we will call it, is a love of Young Living oils. And what are we always doing? We're going like this with our oil, and we're touching our face as we breathe in. Yeah, and then in the theme of meditation as well, when I did have that experience that I was completely shut down and not able to see clients, I had just completed a meditation training and had started including more embodiment meditation into my cranial sessions. So it really spurred me to share this out loud a little sooner than I planned on, how we can find those moments of stillness and connection through meditation, particularly embodiment meditation, where you are feeling the nervous system and you're feeling the sensations in your body, and tying that to imagery of where do you feel safe, and what's around you, and how can you connect more deeply with that. So I have expanded since I last saw the Healing Co-op. I am still offering, I am thankfully back in business and open for in-person sessions with all the safety procedures in place. But I do offer an integrated bodywork session as well as a vibrational raindrop treatment. Those are kind of the where I came from, that I will still, massage should feel good. It really should. And then I also offer biodynamic cranial-sacral therapy. Now this has developed into quite an infant and pediatric specialization because that demographic is so in need in our area. So I am really blessed to get to hold infants whose heads have been through the birthing process and had quite a bit of compression on it, and helping get them some expansion and some space. And they are developing this polyvagal system when you smile at them, and they are looking at their caregivers to know if they are safe or they are not. And it is fascinating to watch without any of the cerebral, analytical, am I safe, am I not safe? I get to hold an infant, and sometimes, you know, that sympathetic activation will happen and they are crying and they are upset, and I can hold a steady enough space that they can come back down, and they build resilience into their nervous system from that very early, you know, first couple weeks of life, to be better suited to how their nervous system is handling. And then I do offer via Zoom, remote Reiki and meditation sessions for those that are not local to my area, or those that are not currently able to come visit my space if they are quarantining, or the many things that do still separate us. And then my most recent addition is some collaboration classes as well, utilizing and bringing together movement and meditation. Because so often we say meditate sounds good, but then monkey mind gets in the way and you have things to do, and it just doesn't always look the way that we would like it to. So I have a dear friend of mine, Carrie Wingo, has been my Pilates instructor for a couple of years, and we are launching this week a class that she will be able to bring you through a movement flow, and then we will end with a meditation as well to really help soften the conversation that you may be having with your body, and acknowledging the conversation that you're having with your body.
It sounds absolutely incredible. My gosh, I would like to book myself a cranio-sacral therapy, a massage session, and a raindrop session all in the same day. So tell me when you're free, because that's what I want.
That is definitely the ideal. Use a little bit of all of it. And that is the highest Serenity goal, is that every human body is interacting differently on different days. So it's going to take a variety of approaches to maintain your health and well-being and that balance. So what I'd like to do is guide you guys through a little bit of an embodiment meditation. So if you want to get settled and comfortable, make any rearrangements, and start taking some of those nice deep belly breaths. We're going to take a series of 3 nice deep breaths. Really focusing on lengthening your exhale. Breathing in to maybe a count to 5. And then noticing if you can breathe out all the way to a count of 8. And begin noticing and feeling the weight of your body down onto the surface below you. I'd like to guide you through a little bit of a body scan to connect to that nervous system that we've been talking about. Taking a moment to bring your mind's attention down into your feet. Getting curious what you can feel. Perhaps the feeling of your socks or the surface below you. And just for our time together today, we're going to allow the mind to be an observer. Simply taking note of what you can feel, of your toes, and your feet. And bringing your attention through the ankles, into your calves and your shins, all the way up into your knees. Can you become aware of the space that your lower legs are taking up? Begin feeling into the upper legs and bringing your attention to the hamstrings at the back of the legs and the quadriceps at the front of the legs, spreading all the way up into your hips. Can you notice any differences from the right to the left, or from the front to the back? As you begin to feel the weight of your legs, taking a nice deep inhale, and with your exhale, just asking this area of your body if it would like to get a little bit heavier, to sink down a little bit deeper into the surface below you. And bringing your attention up into the pelvis and the hips. Can you become aware of the sacrum at the base of the spine? Perhaps feeling any sense of movement or stagnation through the hips, around into the lower abdomen. Bringing your attention up into the low back. At first, simply observing what can your body feel through the lumbar spine. And as you may find areas of tension or holding, allow the breath to deepen. And simply getting curious what change the breath can create. Allowing the sense of softening to wrap around your abdomen, really becoming aware of your belly. Perhaps you can feel the movement your breath creates. And with your next exhale, inviting this area of your abdomen to soften, to sink down a little bit heavier into your body. And finding with your mind's eye the diaphragm, this beautiful domed muscle. Noticing the natural rhythm of your breath. Just for a time together today, letting go of the need to control, to direct, and simply observe the expansion and contraction of that diaphragm. Following the movement of your breath up into your rib cage. Simply observing your upper body and the movement created by your breath. And bringing your attention to the very front of your chest. Can you become aware of the size and the shape of your sternum? This bone protecting your heart center. Can you begin to feel the density of this bone? And perhaps the relationship between the ribs and the movement created. And bringing your attention around to the shoulders. Taking a moment to connect to any messages your body has for you. Feeling the shoulder blades. All of the muscles that create the movements of your arms. And taking a long, slow inhale and an even longer, slower exhale. Invite your upper body and shoulders to soften, to let go just a little bit more, just for a time together this evening. Allowing this sense of softening to move through your shoulders, down into your arms, passing through your elbows, your forearms, your wrists and your hands. Taking a moment to notice what sensations you can feel through your arms and your hands. Perhaps the air moving just outside of your skin. Perhaps a deep sense of warmth through your palms and your fingers. Bringing your attention back to that midline of the body. Begin feeling the column of your neck. We're going to slow down just a bit more. Find with your mind's attention the cervical spine. And really listening to each of those vertebrae, acknowledging the function they're serving, flexibility they're providing. We're going to find with our mind's attention the C7, the top of the shoulders. Getting curious if you can feel the muscles around it supporting it. And as your mind may bring your attention to the areas of tension or strain, consider also finding the areas of softness, the areas of health that are doing really well in your body. Moving up into C6. And C5. Bringing your attention to the discs in between, providing the perfect balance and space. Finding C4 and C3. Perhaps noticing how these vertebrae change in size and shape as we reach C2 and begin to feel the relationship between these vertebrae and the back of your head. And finding C1 at the very top of your spine. And taking a nice long inhale with your exhale, inviting the muscles, the back of your neck to sink down and soften. Just noticing what sensations may arise. As you let go. Bringing your attention around the back of the head. Can you become aware of the space that your head is taking up? Noticing the ears and the space right outside of your ears. Wrapping around into the jaw and simply observing what you're feeling through your jaw and your mouth. And what would it feel like to let go? And begin noticing the sensations of your face. Can you feel the air just outside of your face? Can you become aware of the muscles around your eyes? perhaps closing down this outside world and sinking a little bit deeper into your body's own experience. Feeling around the forehead, all the way up to the very crown of your head. And having connected to each piece of your body, take just a moment to feel the entire body as one coherent, cooperative unit. Always working together to maintain your balance. So whenever you're ready, slowly bring movement back into your body, grounding down into the room that we are in, well, collectively together. And it was such a pleasure to share that meditation space with you guys. If you're interested in more guided meditation and this bringing together of movement and meditation, I would love to invite the Healing Cooperative members to join me. This is a via Zoom opportunity that we can do from anywhere, but we'll be live on Tuesday, January the 26th at 9 a.m., guiding you into that inner balance and that inner dialogue with your body. And you will have a replay for 7 days as well. And this is really the beginning and the introduction of a full 6-week program that we will be launching in the beginning of February as well, to meet together and hold that space every week and deepening the conversation that you're having with your body.
That's so beautiful. And it's in perfect timing with Valentine's Day to do a little bit of self-love.
It is. It is. If we are giving ourselves that love, then we're a little less desperate for that partner to sweep us off our feet.
Yeah, I really like that. Wow.
Yeah.
Serena, thank you so much. We really, really enjoyed it. It was absolutely beautiful. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to stop our recording. So thank you very much. If anybody would like to connect with Serena after our meeting, please do so. Serena has put her information in the chat bar. And of course, I'll also be posting the recording of her presentation on the Facebook page.